All right, go, go, go. What am I talking about? Magnetizing. Why? Because magnetizing is fun, it's easy, and when you're playing war games, a lot of times it just makes everything better. Because if you're going to move a movement tray with, like, whether it's 12, like in a Song of Ice and Fire, 50, like in the old world, or whatever in a movement tray, the worst thing is to be moving it and then to have half of the figures dump out all over the place. I mean, that sucks, right? No one likes that. So I'm going to show you what I learned looking around on the A Song of Ice and Fire um, pages. I wish I remember who I learned this from. Now, last night before I went to bed, I glued some. These are, I think, 2 by 10 mil. And I glued, you see, I glued 4. That means these bad boys are going to be strong. Um, this is their base. And in case you're wondering, this is Clegane's Bandits. House Clegane's Bandits. So they are bad guys, I would say. I mean, unless you're one of those people that thinks the Lannisters, specifically the Cleganes, were, a bunch of good guys, in which case I'm like, okay, I mean, But by just putting a magnet on the bottom here, let me see, like that, right? I know where the magnet's going to go. So I'll just grab some super glue, some good old super glue. And another thing is, I mean, because there's 4 magnets, it's going to hold them in place. So I'm going to just go ahead and put a little super glue on here. And I know that the magnets are all basically where they are. So I'll be able to put the glue down for all 4 magnets, even if, you know, boom. Yep. See, that's on. So then nope, it's this way. Which way is it? Is it this way? Yeah, this way. Tell you what, this glue is drying quick. How'd that fall out? No way that should fall out. Oh, I see what's going on. I see what I've done wrong. Yes, occasionally your boy does stuff wrong. I did the stuff like an X and it's a square. If that doesn't make any sense to you, don't worry about it because it doesn't make sense to me either, really. But I'll show you because, that's the kind of guy I am. I put the glue in an X pattern, basically, like that, and it needs to be 2 here, 2 here. So good thing I caught that when I caught that. Otherwise, the figures would have all been at an angle, and that wouldn't have looked good. But that's the thing when you're crafting. It's like you're always, trying to get things right. So, and sometimes you just gotta start over. You know what I mean? I mean, no one's perfect, right? Except for our Lord Jesus Christ and no one else. So I'm wearing my Jane Cobb hat today because it's a little chilly down here. Now my brother is catching all sorts of hell up in Kentucky. They got snow on the ground, sleet and ice, and more snow. So, man, I have to tell you, I'm very envious because he might not be a huge fan of snow, which considering he lived in Alaska for a very long time, but I love snow. See, now I've glued those magnets on. Even if they weren't glued on, it would be holding this guy, but you got to glue them on to, make sure they stay, right? And I just do the same thing with the rest of these guys. Easy peasy, right? Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. I think I have another unit of these guys, and I'm pretty sure I picked up the Mountain That Rides figure, so that if I want to make like just an entirely Clegane bandit type army, I can do that. Um, Now, one thing that's interesting is I saw that they're announcing the Battle of the Trident as a box set, which will be full of figures from Baratheon's civil war against the Targaryens. And it's going to have, new figures for Ned Stark and Robert Baratheon and all that, but from when they were very young, you know? So, you know, a bit before the, television show, right? I think that's kind of really cool, right? Um, there's also, for those of you who don't want to play with tons of big units or whatever, a skirmish game that you can play where, you get so many coins and you hire your war band, and then you can play out battles against each other. So it looks like Simon Games, which I don't know where they're out of. I think France, maybe. But it looks like they are definitely. I mean, this game's been out a long time, and it's always been on my radar, but it's also always been one of those games where I've been like, I'm doing other things, like 30K, 40K, whatever K. Uh, I've got all my old world armies. And yeah, in case you're wondering, for old world, I have a massive orc army, a massive goblin army, which means I can combine them to have a massive orc and goblin army. Uh, I have an empire army that's really big. And of course, the biggest army I have is my dark elves. And then I have a 2,500 point chaos army, chaos warriors, but it's got, marauders and all that in it. And then I one year for Christmas, my wife got me the Pleasure and Pain box set, so I could field Slanesh or Khorne demon army. It'd be pretty small, but I could do it. Well, the Slanesh army would not be small because I added a lot onto that. I bought like the heralds, and see, now these, that might be overkill for some of you, but I want to make sure that when these guys are moving around the table, whatever's going on, they are not going any damn place, right? Now, in other news, I still need to do a final highlight on this guy, but I did the highlights on my Victorian figure, right? He is going to be my army commander, so I need to do his base, and that means he is going to be in the unit of the victory crew. So I'll do his base to fit that. And anytime you have a leader or an attachment on a unit, it always goes on the front rank left, right? And then any other attachments just keep going from the left to the right. Because there are some ways you can have multiple attachments. So he's magnetized. He's not going anywhere. Uh, you know, I need to grab my. I dry brushed him with blade metal, blade steel, and then I'll give him a really light dry brush with like a pure plata, which is Spanish, I think, for silver. It is, because according to Vallejo, plata means silver. And then that'll just be the highlights. I'm thinking about going back over these guys and just doing even more detail work, you know, like putting some brass, like some of them have crests running down the helmet with nasals. Doing that in brass could be like a really cool, I mean, they don't ever have to be done, is I guess what's up. So now I'm going to highlight my Victorian. These guys I'm going to let dry. I'm going to put them on something so they can't stick to it. And then I'm going to be putting magnets on the bottom of these aliens. And the magnets are going to fit perfectly. There's exactly like 2 millimeters. And another good thing is, depending on how the alien is, and by the way, this is what they look like, all glossy. So yeah, they look slimy. There's really nothing like, if I see an alien and it's like looks like it might fall over a way, I can always put the magnet on it in a way that it'll weight it so that maybe it won't fall over as much. Um, so that's good. You know, that's a good thing. But that is what I will be doing right now. Now, you don't really want to follow that, because why would you? So, peace and love. And those of you still looking forward to Christmas, hey, you know, and those of you who have already celebrated your Christmas, awesome. And I will continue on with Battletech and a Song of Ice and Fire videos. So just hang out and look for those, and I will see you in the next one.